Having surpassed 1,000 completed anime, it's time to review my old favorites and find out what holds up. I'm Sacrabolic, your envoy of hope, and this is Anime Favorite Search. Tsukimonogatari covers the Yotsugi doll arc. Basically, Araragi is fucking around with his sister, realizes he can't see himself in the mirror, consults Shinobu, turns out he's turning more into a vampire. They end up looking for some expert advice, and Araragi's initially reluctant to actually seek advice. He's like, I don't want to talk to anyone who might be able to help, because he doesn't want to ask favors from any of the specialists he knows, and he also isn't fully sure how to get in contact with them. And then Izuko messages him on his phone and is like, I already contacted someone for you, because she knows everything. And so he ends up meeting with Kaganui and Ononoki, who basically confirm what Shinobu said, yeah, you're turning into a fucking vampire. They tell him that it is happening as a result of him turning into a vampire too often, so he's getting too used to being a vampire, and that he can't use his vampire powers anymore. So they can't rely on his vampiric transformation to deal with any incoming threats. This is then immediately followed up by Izuko contacting Kaganui and telling her that it appears as if Araragi, who sent his sisters off to go be with Kombaru for the night to protect them in case Kaganui goes aggro, is kidnapped by a man named Tadatsuru Tiori, who is one of the members of the occult club that ended up creating Ononoki. And so, basically, Araragi and Ononoki are there to confront this Tadatsuru Tiori dude. But Araragi can't transform into a vampire for this fight. But Ononoki is going with him. They also imply that Kaganui is going with him, but she does not arrive because, let's be real, this basically goes all according to everyone's plan. Araragi and Tadatsuru himself are just pieces on the game board at this point, between Ogi and Izuko. And this is very, actually, the central thesis, I think, of Tsukimonogatari in this regard, because Tsukimonogatari is letting you know that you are entering into the endgame, that Monogatari is coming to a conclusion. This is even brought up in the opening monologue of the show. But even more to that point, they encounter Ogi on the way to go to talk to Tadatsuru, who basically has a conversation with them, and then, musing to herself, Ononoki even states that Ogi is definitely the mastermind behind all of this, before Araragi later has a conversation with Tadatsuru, where right before they're about to fight, Tadatsuru is like, hold the fuck up. By the way, Araragi was going to get demolished, because again, he can't turn into a vampire. Tadatsuru is like, wait a minute, does it feel like we're being manipulated? I feel like we're being manipulated. Hold up, I kind of don't want to do this. And then that event basically resolves. He ends up resolving to fight Araragi. How this ends is only sort of necessary to talk about, because it appears as if the central plan behind this, how Ogi is moving in this regard, was to create a fissure between Ononoki and Araragi. And it works to an extent, except for Izuko manages to basically predict that that's the play. Hell, even Araragi predicts the play, even though he hasn't realized that it's Ogi that was behind it. But so Izuko manages to counter that by basically sending Ononoki to essentially live with Araragi. So basically, we have Ogi making a move to try and disrupt the relationship Araragi has between himself and the specialist, and Izuko basically effortlessly countering it. The real question I have coming from this is, how the fuck did Ogi even know about Tadatsuru? How did she contact him? How was this entire event set up? That's the question. Because usually Ogi doesn't have, Ogi's whole gimmick is that she has access to whatever information Araragi has. So how the fuck she pulled this one off, I'm not sure. Usually she has much more limited scope in what she can do. We know that she's capable of operating independently, but this is one bizarre example where she is operating with information that no one had beforehand. So I'm not sure if that's a plot hole or if it is going to demonstrate an issue with Ogi that she is starting to operate outside of the specs of what her specific apparition is supposed to be doing. Regardless, you could argue that's foreshadowing or a plot hole. I'm going to keep my eye on it. Tsukimonogatari, you're on fucking what? Because I'm not sure Ogi should have been able to contact that dude. But anyway, regardless, like I said, this is mostly just setting up the fact that we are entering Endgame. This is the information that you and the audience, we are heading towards the end of the Monogatari, and the story is going to be reaching its conclusion soon. So this is more of a setup sort of arc, and it's not bad, but it's not particularly entertaining. It just sort of kind of is. Twitch and Discord in the description. I've been Sacrobolic. You're Envoy of Hope. Bye-bye.